I started from. It's like a long time
Well,
ago.
we'll start. I'll introduce the show with the bio. We're hooking up to Facebook now. Looks like it went through. Thank you, Facebook, for allowing us to broadcast again. Yes. Okay. So we are live on Facebook. We got someone in the chat. Angel Divine. Hello, Alicia and Todd. Love to all. Moi. Yeah. Okay. Let me go back over here. I'm going to pull up the show on my phone so I can see comments, and we'll roll the show out in just a couple of minutes formally. We've got a new guest, somebody who's going to share her story with us. Has been in this for 35, 40 years, something to that effect, which is quite impressive. Okay, we got 19 people in the house. These shows resonate with you. Please share. We would appreciate it. And it looks like we've been doing pretty good with Facebook. They're not knocking us off every other show. So we want to say thank you to Facebook. Thank you to the universe. We want to say when we start a show, if we can't get on Facebook, we are going on YouTube. And you can always catch us on the Zoom link that's on the announcements. We've got 26, 27, 28 people in the house and counting. I'm going to share it out to the network real quick, to our affiliated groups, and to the Soulogy group and Soulogy page. So everybody can watch it on those pages as they want. Let's see. Big shout out to Rising Above, Universal Brothers Sister Circle, 5D Soul Tribe, 1111 Movement, and the 5D High Vibe Tribe, and the Soulogy crowd. Hello, Karen Starr, Sarai Williams, Shanine, Banriam, Suki Park, Sasha Grace, Heather Nielsen, Fiona Mannix, Terry Willette, Morgan Lee, my beloved, Isabella Quiris, Lorraine Middleton, Elizabeth Rudwick, Glenn Ray down in New Zealand, to you and Nikki, Shaz Hargreaves, Jenny Williams, Amanda Henning, Maria Iverson's back, Mary Cooper's always here, Crystal Gonzalez, my homegirl from Corpus Christi, Texas. I think she says we're the only two light workers from there, but I can't imagine that. And Angel Divine's here too. Anne Christine Skuglin and Jane Moore from Canada. Some new names here. My name's Todd Medina. This is SoulogyOne Network. This is SoulSpeaks 5D. It's a conversation. And today we're having a conversation with a very special light worker, Divine Feminine. And she's been doing this for a long, long time. We're going to start out with that story. But let me give you her background. Alicia Power is a master energy healer and spirit telepath. She's been trained by creator-level spirit being mentors for 26 years. These intense decades of partnerships at senior levels of spirit mean she has been initiated into high spiritual authority to activate fast change to a person's soul direction, soul wound history, and spiritual leadership. These decades of training at senior spirit levels have given Alicia a forensic knowledge of auric techniques and an awareness of how senior authority spirit mentors evolve a soul under their care. She is a regular guest on Consciousness Telesummits, and she has authored over 11 popular online transformational courses. Her YouTube channel is 21,000 subscribers. Her Twitter feed is followed by over 53,000 people. Her monthly live healing Zoom broadcasts offer training transmissions from her senior spirit tutors, where participants receive soul clarity, soul history, clearing, and empowerment training. Welcome to the show. Thank you for sharing space with us and honoring us with your presence, Alicia.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you.
It's a pleasure to meet you. It's a pleasure to merge audiences and introduce you to those in the Soulogy crowd that don't already know you, because evidently several of them do. You were talking about, I don't know if you've ever seen the show. This is about 1,000 episodes for us. And I used to ask the question, I always would start out the show with, when did you wake up? But you kind of brought that up before we came on the air, and you said there's a pretty cool story with it. We'd like to hear that.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so I just mentioned that I've been a spiritual teacher for about 44 years. I was looking at my calendar going, because I keep saying 40 years, and it's like, no, it's actually 44 years. Okay, so I don't know, 16, one of my brothers, I've got 5 brothers, sort of he was a hippie, and he came home to visit, and I watched him sort of as he came into my bedroom, because I was still at home, 16, and I looked at him and I said, he hasn't found it yet. And my brain then did a double take, and I went, what did I just say to myself? He hasn't found what yet? And I went, ooh, that was weird. And then at 18, I went to university and started to learn to meditate. So I shot out of my sort of home environment and straight into deep states of meditation. And within a year, I was following an extraordinary Indian spiritual guru, spiritual master. I was still in the West, but he was taking his initiations into the West from India, and that began my journey. So 16 years, 6 years in an ashram in the West,
Wow.
16 years of following this extraordinary avatar, and just going huge, deep commitment inside of myself for service to humanity and just deep states of meditation and consciousness, and just this massive commitment. When I put my hand up to go into that ashram for 6 years, you know, celibate and just full on focus, I kind of gave my life to God, a little bit like a priest or a nun or something like that.
Yeah.
And then he closed all in the West. He closed all those ashrams down and went, just go out and live a normal household life, but take that same commitment and that connection to that deep inner space with you, you know. Because if you're meditating for hours and hours a day for nearly, you know, for 16 years, it just builds this rock, this solid rock of connection inside yourself. Anyway, so around about at about the age of 30, I decided to sort of just pull away from that and go into opening up my psychic abilities. And immediately I was starting to dialogue clearly with my spirit guides, and they immediately delegated a master energy healer to me, and I started to learn how to do energy healing, and just started to become a professional energy healer just straight away. And that was 27 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've been a professional energy healer and a telepath with the spirit worlds for 27 years. And 2 years right from that beginning, 2 years into that, they tapped me on the shoulder and introduced me. They sort of pulled me away from my primary mentor, that incredible master energy healer, and introduced me to a layer of the spirit world, which they said were creator beings. And that was like 26 years ago. So, and these guys instantly, their speed was evident, their level of authority of how they even talked. So 26 years of communicating with senior levels of the spirit world and working with what they call spirit authority, which means their ability to travel into the Akashic records to depths that most spirit healer beings aren't allowed to go. Their overview of shadow and light, because they're out of that the two subsets of shadow and light, they're way above that universe of shadow and light. So they've got authority, meaning that they
Earned it.
they've earned it. They can travel, you know. They also understand shadow and light. Anyway, so and then speed, acceleration. So so I've worked with that level of the spirit world, dialoguing with it clearly in detail for 26 years. So and been working professionally inside people's auric fields for a very long time. And now for about 10 years, I've just been working with groups and doing lecturing and training and just sharing that resonance.
That's interesting, you know, because, you know, we've, like I said, we've had about 1,000 episodes and probably really ramped it up. Would have been 2 years ago this month. And in that time, there's been an evolution. You know, our thing, which wasn't really planned, is we started to find out that the highest level of transmissions, downloads, and channelings, at least from this chair, this universe, is sitting across from somebody and talking about the experience itself and the different experiences like you're talking about in your life. That there's something really, really transforming about it, code exchange, activations, that type of thing. But a lot of the people that come on this show are what I would call energy workers, energy healers. There's different facets of it. They have their different unique abilities. Some of the things are very much in common in terms of transforming energy. It sounds like you were in the minority, the vast minority. What's it like to see other people stepping up into this, for lack of a better word, vocation now?
It's encouraging. what's the little word? I'm just so delighted. It's and I think what you're referring to is a general sort of ripping away of the veil, and especially young people. I just get this feeling that they're so hungry. I'm talking even late teens and early 20s, and they, excuse my language, but they cannot be bothered with the bullshit. It's like they can just see straight through anybody who's not congruent, authentic, and honest, with their experiences. And at the same time, they're kind of like voraciously hungry to know what the truth is. So they've got this bullshit detector, but they also are super hungry. So there's this kind of interesting, somebody tell me what's going on. I was at this a little party about a year ago with relatives and sort of twice third removed cousins of cousins of cousins. And this young guy came up to me like late when the party had ended. I was just about to walk out the door and say hello. And he said, "Is this reality real?" And I said, "No, it's a movie. This is a hologram." And he said, "Yeah, I thought so." And this guy's an IT genius, right? And I went, "Gee whiz, thank God someone just told him and he got it, because I really do understand that it's the truth, because I've been playing in multidimensionality, extensively for so long." And so when somebody who really knows just point blank says it to someone like that, it's such a relief. I mean, he's now going to travel for the rest of his life knowing the truth.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Yeah, we had a kid on here an hour before this show, Andy Horry out of Northern England, 24 years old, and he's been on a couple times before. And the other thing I find interesting about these young people is it's all feeling. First of all, they're not like having to go back and get past the cognitive and analytical and find the feeling vibration. They already have it. And because I had asked them, I said, was there a particular divine essence or, angel or galactic that a face of the universe that came to you as the intermediary or whatever? No. Everything has been through this feeling. And like you said, the bullshit detector, which by the way, this is Soulogy, so you can say whatever you want to in the proper context.
I get that feeling.
But he was saying that, it's all feeling, and that his communication, his downloads, his transmissions, and simultaneous expressions all through his creativity. And that's his Bible. That's his good book. That's his guru and his yogi, is his connection to the universe is through his creative expressions and that relationship that he has with infinite intelligence to dig in, like you said, hungry, get that stuff, convert it, and spit it out for the collective.
Yeah, that's right. Look, there is, I work with these creator beings, and they sort of, their level of authority means they gave the go-ahead for this physical universe and also the spirit universe that coalesces behind this physical universe, and sort of and also has anything to do with the mentoring of this physical universe. So they actually pressed the button or gave the go-ahead for it to even get initiated and thought up, because it all came from a thought, right?
Yeah.
And from consciousness, from intention in the quantum. But what was I going to say? So these guys are on a mission, and they're on a mission to throw high frequency resonance, high frequency light into these dense layers. That they are really on a hot mission, like to do this. And so the electromagnetics around Mother Earth have been dense. We've been in amnesia. We're trying to punch out of this kind of straitjacket cocoon thing, that's just been sort of poisoning our memory of who we really are and what's really going on here. And so, legions, the other day I was having a chat to someone, we were laughing, I was trying to find the right word, legions of light beings and armies are hanging out there in multidimensionality, cheering us on, all of us humans, cheering us on, going, wake up, come on, grab your power, grab your light staff, like in Star Trek, whatever. And just, you guys are ancient knowledge keepers, and remember. So it's like these legions of angels, armies of light beings are just genuinely gathering around.
I think that's becoming more and
Earth.
more. Yeah, it's becoming more and more talked about. You know, a lot of people talk about, like, when I woke up 7 or 8 years ago, I would always get this, and I didn't understand anything, but I would always get this: God's greatest army is behind you. Because most of my information coming in was very masculine. You know, I never even thought that God was actually a woman, which I believe she is. but there was always this thing about God's greatest army. And then I met my beloved, and she kind of had the same thing, like an army behind her. I could see it in the ethers. And I see other people's armies. And very recently, I was intrigued by what you said, the levels, the senior energy healers, the creator beings, which has come up in my universe over the last, I want to say, like 6 weeks, a couple of times through my work, hearing it from other people, and also through my own experience. But you know, a lot of people talk about hierarchy. They talk about, that's why I said they earned it. But what I was getting at is, we had an experience. It was about 3 months ago. She left to go home to Australia for a couple of months and came back. But right before she left, we had a dual transmission or divine episode where there was a circle, and it seemed to be very kindred. I want to say there was about 24 of them. 2 of us were included in that number. We stepped into this circle. We were conscious in this circle, as they explained to us, for the first time in 60 years. And at that time, 60 years ago, we had planned to do what we're doing, basically. And we chose to come down and so on. But what happened was, about 3-4 nights ago, we actually had what I would have to say physical herioscamos, physical and non-physical. You know, herioscamos being a non-physical component where the chakras are connected and so on, and expand together. This actually happened in the physical, all of it in the physical. But afterwards, we were given more awareness, and there was another circle. And this circle, both of them felt very much like a monad. But the one that we'd experienced before seemed to be closer to the ground, if you will. The one that we connected to 2-3 nights ago actually contained the one that was speaking was the essence of both of us, undivided, right? And I said, because I said, do you have any questions? I said, yeah, are you related? Are you the same as those people over here? And I understood that, yes, in the explanation, yes, there was a monad, and there was a monad within the monad, and everyone that was at the monad had a monad, and it was just these, you know, this math, this galactic, cosmic, quantum math. But I understood in the multidimensionality that it was all kind of connected. But I also understood that we, the human is the hero. We are the ones doing the work, and they don't even know what's going to happen. And that's one of the reasons they're excited.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Do you?
Unbelievable. I just want to say that's so unbelievable that this experiment is taking place. And that the warriors of the light incarnate in these human bodies right now. And they're remembering, you know, some of us are getting older. You know, we've been playing for a while and slowly waking up and slowly remembering more and more of our power, right? Because since even connecting with these creative beings, it's now like, you know, a long time, like decades, nearly 3 decades for me, but constant power evolution of my power, of my remembering of my power. So what you've just said is just extraordinary, you know, that there's this experiment going on with us humans. You know, we're the warriors, we're the heroes.
Yeah.
We've got emotion, we've got electromagnetic bodies of emotion. We can feel emotion, which is like a mirror effect. It's a reaction effect in this experience in the physicality, right? And that creates power. It creates choices, it creates decisions, it creates reactions and decisions. Emotion does, because when you pass out, when you die, you don't have emotion. It's switched off. It's weird, you see? So here, as humans, we've got emotion, we've got this power to choose. And so we're choosing, and what we're actually doing is gathering power. And exactly what you're saying, by the way, Todd, is that as the heroes, we're walking into shadow, we're walking into challenge constantly. You know, the Buddhists always say, you know, life's a struggle, but it's like shadow is prolific everywhere. It's in us, in ourselves, in our Akashic records, it's in other humans. We're portals for shadow, we're portals for light. And it flows, light flows. It's like currents in the energetics, and shadow is a thing. It flows, you know, it's got consciousness. It's like liquid substance, you know, but it's in the quantum, and it pushes against us constantly. But this thing happens, and you've just touched on it so beautifully. I just love this because I'm into it. I'm into this warrior thing. I'm into this being in the fulcrum, you know, pushing against the challenge and growing and gathering power because of that, right? So it's not comfortable being a human at all. And like you in your circle and developing more and more knowledge where they show up for you and they hold the space for you to kind of have these ahas and start asking questions and finding out more. So like your prefrontal cortex is learning, you know, how multidimensionality works and who they are and how you interact with them. I just want to say that we are so courageous to be here in physicality. Absolutely. So courageous. Can I just describe something which is a little bit interesting? Is I'm in touch with some relatives who've passed over, and because I don't do dead people, it's not my thing. I'm not a medium. I sort of work with teacher beings, right? That's more my interest. But I just want to say, because these relatives are dear to me, I'm chatting to them, and they passed through the Holocaust. They passed through the Second World War, these relatives, right? So they went through intense challenge in their physical lifetime. So what's happening is that they are learning with their light teachers over there in their classrooms on the other side to use the power that they gathered in the ultimate challenges that they went through. So they gathered what the spirit world calls power, which is the ability to stay in heart energy and in love energy against all odds. So they took that ability that they did because they stayed stable, they survived, they came and lived on this side of the planet in the Southern Hemisphere, but there's many of these people still alive right around the world, but they gathered a power in all of that experience. And now in the spirit world, they have an extraordinary power it's like they've built a bank of power. A lot of people don't realize this, but this is almost what being human is about. It's about climbing higher and higher in your light as you just meet your challenges and as you handle almost out of control challenges sometimes in our lives. So it's holding your stillness, holding your balance, holding your self-love and your self-respect, and calling out for help from spirit. They're big on that. My teams are. They're going, please ask us for help. We're here.
That's the one thing.
We can shortcut the process.
Yeah, we tend to forget that, even though it's been written in all the sacred books. You know, ask and you will be given, knock, the door will be open. And I totally agree with you. You know, I can see what you're saying. I've never had anyone explain that to me in terms of those that have disincarnated, but I firmly believe, as in my life experience, in my universe, when I speak for myself, which I share in a divine conscious union with my beloved, because so much of that information, the vast majority of the information, comes in from that feminine, you know, that feminine frequency that's been suppressed for so long. We all know the story here, but to me, it's like we've been planted in, well, we chose, we were anointed, we earned it, which says a lot in the paradoxical explanation of the universe, as you were talking about the creator beings, and I said they earned it. But we've entered this, what we would consider a very dense, heavy realm, which is really a copy, you know, a micro, macro. And we are converting that, like you said, through that emotional, electromagnetic, the conversion of that, instead of creating this unconscious craziness and chaos, but actually taking our power and converting it, transforming it into what I believe in this place and time, in this space and time, to be the highest level of expanding light the universe has ever seen. And I think that's why they're all sitting on the end of their chair cheering for us, because they're like, how far are they going to take it now that they're woke up, you know?
Yeah.
I got to say, we got a nice comment about you from Nikki Hammond that it was about 50 comments ago, but Nikki's very respected. When you said you've been doing this for so long, I said, who's been doing it that long? He's the only one I could think of. But you have obviously been a big influence on him. I was going to ask you.
Thanks, Nikki.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff that you've gone through, what I've noticed on the show is that people, as they talk about, hey, I've been doing this for 15, 20 years. One lady in Israel came out and said, I didn't even know people were like me until 6 months ago. And I tuned into one of your shows. And now I'm like, I'm not crazy anymore. But they've had such powerful transmission, powerful communion and consistent communion for years and years and years. How did that, and this question I'm asking for the people that are waking up now, or the people that have had this experience 3 or 4 or 5 years, how do you keep your ego in check? Because I know from my own experience, the higher the soul goes, the higher the ego goes. Not that the ego is a bad thing. I think it's the universal equalizer, the flip side of the soul. But really, how do you keep from, because although there is a hierarchy as you speak of, and I understand what you're saying, I also know in my own transmissions that they say to me, everyone's equal, but we're just up here, we've taken more steps than other people have taken. We're more mature, whatever you want to say. But how do you keep yourself in check on a personal level?
Yeah. Okay, I've got quite a few things to say about that. And one of them is I don't have time to get into my ego because these guys are shoving my nose into something intense for me to handle every second of the day. So I'm living my own, that rubber's burning. It's like I'm living my own level of, what would you say, growth. So these guys are just pushing me into the next membrane, of growth constantly. And that's number one. I just don't have the time. Number two, there's a couple of other people have mentioned to me, Alicia, how come you don't? Because I don't really get into the ego work because, I just can't be bothered, haven't got time to it. But one of the big things is I've actually followed a real avatar.
Yeah.
It's got, where you touch him, you fall over because it's like, it's that powerful. He's running that much of God full force through his body that
like Alma.
Just extra, so I sort of know what a serious avatar is. And so, no.
So and again, that's
I couldn't even, I don't even bring that into my sort of, and the other thing is that, this is a really interesting one, is that these creative beings have seriously trained me like for 27 years about shadow. They've shoved my nose in it. They've got me to have a look at it upside, downside, around and around, to really study it. So I'm unconsciously competent in noticing it.
Second nature. It's second nature.
Like I can see it from a mile away, right?
Yeah.
And also, so I self-observe my own any kind of distortion that starts to happen inside of myself. So I'm onto it really fast. I'm actually quite clinical about it, because there are certain characteristics about the way shadow shows up in my mind and my heart, in someone else, what it looks like on their face, what it looks like on my face. It's like there's a lot that I know about it. So, and ego for me is where you've separated away from your true self. So immediately, because ego is like this little, it's really false. It's a false self in a way.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people say that the word ego actually keeps you alive, stops you from walking across the road and getting bowled over by a car. We've got a busy road out here. It's a survival mechanism. It's the same with logic. Logic was built a little bit similar to ego, but it was built to keep you in, surviving. Yeah. Because it's a very narrow, straight, logical, sequential, this, therefore that.
Yeah.
And anything that's not logical, it's like a handrail. We hold on to it really tight. Yeah. I'm really big. I'm a bit of a maverick because I love saying to anyone who'll listen that it's beyond logic where our knowledge lies, where our intelligence lies. And logic is like tiny. It's like a pea. Yeah. It's like tiny, compared to, just the vast knowledge of the universe and instantaneous transmissions, right? So, and downloads. So
like an ant on an elephant's ass, right?
Yeah, totally.
So I mean, what would you tell people, or even for your own experience? I can understand where you're coming from because you've been doing this for so long, and I can see in myself and certainly other people more that it is becoming more second nature, that it's becoming, it comes in, it's dealt with, it goes out. But when they're triggered, or when energies are coming down that are collective and obviously collective, and we're absorbing that, or we're being affected by that, what do you do, or what would you say to people? How do you handle that?
Yeah. I work with the aura just immediately, because I'm aware that a shadow is an electromagnetic force. It's like a little bunch or bundle of energy, and it drops into your auric field. It downloads from somebody else, or from whatever, or it erupts out from a past life or something like that. Anyway, or it's just floating through the ethers. So if you're feeling distorted, or you're feeling discombobulated, or if you're feeling suddenly unusually negative, or unusually doubting, or unusually hesitant, or unusually just depressed, there's entities in you. So I'm just, because your audience is a great audience, I'm just going to tell the truth here. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
that's what we need.
So yeah. So I've got a really nice little tool that I want to share with everyone, and anyone can do this. A kid can do this, but it's an X-ray tool, and you can do it really quickly, and you can just see the entities. And what I do, it's a two-step. It's like, see what's sitting there, and then ask your spirit helpers. Everybody's got spirit helpers to transmute that, to pull it out of you and transmute it. It's interestingly, when you're playing with the spirit worlds in a practical way like this, they actually need you to instruct them. They actually need you to point to what you want them to do.
Would you say they need your permission?
Permissions, but also a little bit more than that. They actually want you to be a partner, and they want you to
figure it out.
Yeah, they want you to see what's there. Then they want you to permission, but turn to them and say, I want you to do this. And you can hear that I'm not very sort of holier than thou with them. I'm just, guys, you're my consultants, you're my technicians. We're all of us together as a team on a mission. You know, we're all, my spirit teams and I are a team. We walk forward together, right? So, and sometimes things have to happen really fast. So you can just tell them really fast what you need. And
I get what you're saying, and because my wife's the same way. She's kind of clinical, you know. I mean, kind of like it's not that she's emotionless at all. In fact, she's got a huge heart. She's been doing it so long. It's just like, you know, because I used to tell her, you know, when I first met her, I'd say, you know what, and she'd say, well, do you want to talk about it, or do you want to clear it? You know, so it's like, let's deal with it. It took me like 2 years to, you know, to finally accept that and just say, hey, you know what? Okay, it's just a story, right? Right now, you're using the term entities. I can understand that too, because a lot of the stuff that we try to explain is metaphoric. The way the universe speaks to me, or the way it speaks to someone else, is totally different, but it's really the same thing. But I like the way that you talk about, this is your field, something's entered your field, or something's come up from within you to be released.
That's
and there is, what I love about what you're saying is there is a quick way to identify, address, implement, and release, or convert, or transform.
Yeah, that's it, guys. All right, so let's do a quick little process. It's going to take 2 seconds, honestly. Everybody, let's just do this. You can keep your eyes open, keep your eyes closed, doesn't matter. And so I use the brightness of the sun in my imagination, or I even use the real sun sometimes, a bit naughty. But so you just pretend you've got a doll version of yourself. What you're doing is you're going to shove this doll version of yourself into the center of the sun, and then instinctively and intuitively just notice if there's any shadow in it. And what this does is it shows up what's annoying you or what's triggering you. So, and you can refresh the screen. So you're just literally in your mind, you're pushing this doll version of yourself into the center of the brightness of the sun, and that is the X-ray. It shows up the shadow. So at any point you can do that, because, and I suggest to people, you know, anyone who's coming home from work and they're about to walk into their family situation, and sometimes you bring the stress from work right into that space with all your beloved family. They've been waiting all day to you know, say hello to you, and you're coming in just frazzled. So before you get home, sit in your car somewhere and do this process. So push yourself, little doll version of yourself, into the center of the sun. Just notice what shadows are there. Instruct your spirit teams and your spirit helpers who are with you to pull it out and to transmute it. I love the word transmute because it's very specific. It's literal. It's exactly what they do. They transmute it from shadow to light. They can do it quite quickly, and then do it again. So do it 2 or 3 times. Each time you'll see a different layer of shadow. And it's metaphorical, right? So what you're seeing in the sun is just a quick little metaphor. It can be like a laser light going in. It can be like some cloudy shadow in there. It can be anything. It can be like somebody, a being standing next to you. My rule of thumb is that anything that you see when you're doing this, because it's the purpose of why you're doing it, is you want to see something that shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Right? So if you're seeing something, point at it and ask your spirit teams to transmute it. And right there, they do the job, they do the work. You can just sit quietly for 30 seconds, a minute, and it'll be done. Or 5 minutes. Or 5 minutes. And then if you've come back from work, suddenly you're just feeling lighter. You know, that sort of round robin like thing that's just going round and round, the loop, the thought loop in your head, it's gone. You walk in and you just, and I call it optimizing the space between people you love. It's like if you've got your beloved coming, you know, on a date with you, why not optimize your auric field and your whole consciousness even before you connect, because your hearts will be just that much more open. You'll be having a beautiful time together with people you love. Anyway, I'm just saying, yeah. It's
that's excellent. Because I was going to ask you, how do you deal with the normal world? Because that's another. But you just explained that. I think that's, you know, one of the things too that I picked up from you and even from my wife and other people like y'all that have been doing this for so long is that you know, it's really, the more you understand it, the more simple it becomes, and it's actually it is simple, you know, at this point for me anyway, is if I can be conscious of it, and if I can remain in that consciousness of saying I need help, is number one, because anytime I've ever asked for help, I always get it. Okay, you just got to be careful what you ask for. So, and then number two, that whatever clarity I need, which normally for me anyway seems to require some type of awareness in order to transform, can actually happen very quickly. It can't just be happening to me. I know, because I'm not that special, but this is happening more and more around the world. I'm gathering that from the work that I do. Is that becoming more obvious to you as a practitioner? Are you seeing your clients come in the door at a higher level? You know, especially these last few months in 2019, it seems to be really accelerating a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. In my conversations with my teams, which is a lot, like, you know, every day, all day, but especially because I was doing some big events, and I do a big event every month. The December event that we did, it was kind of scary, the amount of shadow that was dense and leaking up to the surface. So my spirit teams did this event so that we could all stay stable over the weeks of December and going into the new year, because shadow was so prevalent, just in the behind the veil.
Yeah,
right?
it was.
Just behind the veil, you know. And then coming into January, and I'm sort of going, you know, do they really know that it's sort of the end of the year and the beginning of a new year? I don't know. Are they logical like that? Anyway, so coming into January, there was this massive explosion of light, just came in from very high up, and it's taking everybody up very quickly. You know, my teams are calling it the rising tide. It's like this fast, and they're doing it really deliberately, and they're working with multitudes of teams, you know, and multitudes of tribes and species of angelic beings and spirit beings. It's like everyone's behind it, I'm being told to say right now. It's like in the spirit worlds of light and love. There's a serious cranking going on of light and acceleration. So yeah, it's very, very powerful. Very exciting. It's a little bit like all of us are surfing this wave.
Yeah. Did you get to a point, and if so, when did you get to the point when you said they're finally getting it? You know, I mean, like a lot of people I've talked to got this information for years and years, and they were like literally, you know, in a space by themselves for the most part, unless they had a small community around them. But did you ever get to a point? I mean, did you go through these periods in the early days where you're just like, am I crazy? Am I the only one, you know, and then,
Yes.
you know, and then if so, get to a point where you finally said, oh my God, you know, the world is finally catching up. Not, you know, and
Yeah,
I know you wouldn't say that from an egoic point of view. I'm just saying from a realistic point of view.
yeah. Like, again, it's been a long time, like 40 years. So I am a bit of an icebreaker. I'm an Aries, and so I don't mind being, you know, speaking up where people are uncomfortable about a subject. But I totally agree with you. But for me, it's been a gradual thing. I've been observing. Like, for example, my family or people that I've known for a very long time, people are now into yoga, into meditation, where before it was like the devil.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
oh my God.
Either that or an intervention and a visit to the psych ward. A lot of
you
us
know,
have been there.
and so, how beautiful, the yoga movement, for example, like right around the world is just pushing this wave, I reckon, the yoga movement, where everybody, like, yoga's so mainstream now, but wow, it just takes everybody, opens everyone's chakras, it cleans everybody's auric fields, just all the flexing and just calming and cleaning down the auric field. But also there's meditation involved. So I'm just saying that that's just been a huge, huge thing. These beautiful spiritual masters from India, many of them have come over to the West and have just cracked open this crust, this concretedness, the fear. Anyway,
I'm
so
really, yeah.
I just want to say, really, it's the West. It's the first world, and it's the West who hang on by their fingernails to science, which to me, the scientists are within a sort of holosphere of trying to stay logical.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of them now are starting to, they're holding on, but they're starting to let go.
Yeah.
And realize.
I don't think they have a choice. I don't think they have a choice.
The quantum universe is massive. Like, parallel universes are taking off in all directions from every moment and every second. They're now realizing that. So
I love that Zen proverb. I say it a lot. Let go or be dragged. But I don't think they have a choice. Much of a choice. Let me ask you this. Well, first of all, we normally run an hour. Do you want to run a little bit over that?
Cool. I'm very cool.
Very cool. Okay. So, and even having said that, and thank you for that, is there anything that you would like to do? And I don't know the what your tool bag looks like, but I mean, channeling, transmissions, prayer, blessing, more commentary on a message that's relevant to the present moment. Anything that you'd like to do? The floor is yours.
Let's have a look. I'll just tune in. I'm just online with my spirit teams constantly, so I'll just tune in. Wait me a second. They'd love to give everybody the gift of just going into a beautiful sacred space on the inside and connecting with a spirit guide, because there's a lot of people who haven't connected to a spirit helper that they actually, even for half a second, perceive and go, oh shit, there's someone actually there, and somebody is actually with me. So I just think that could be quite a beautiful, beautiful moment. And also more advanced people can meet a higher authority spirit guide or a new being that can be a mentor for them. So
I think we already know there's no coincidences, and I haven't seen this name before. Hello, Beverly Bondurant, and she says, wow, I am ready and been told I need to learn to ask for help. I am slow, I don't know, but please all the help for me to move forward and move physically where I am, wherever I am supposed to be. So I think this falls in line with that energy. So yes, please proceed.
All right, let's do it, guys. So this is going to be powerful because the teams that I work with are, the energy is quite potent. So guys, let's play. Closing the eyes, everybody. Let's go. Let's travel. Taking a deep breath into your stomach, everybody, just letting that out slowly, because that just calms our minds down, calms our bodies down. And just follow the quick little visualization preparation. In front of you is a big sphere of light, and just step into that sphere of light and allow yourself to merge with that sphere of light, become it. It's a quick shift, energy shift. Let yourself just feel that expansion. And when you're ready, step back out of it. And again, a little bit of a visualization ritual. In front of you now is a column of light. It's like an elevator. So we're going to be stepping into that. And just for a very short time, we're going to be traveling up that column of light. So let's go, let's travel up. What this does is it instructs the quantum energy as we're doing this. We're telling the worlds of spirit what we're wanting. And that's, we're wanting to connect with them. So column of light, we're shooting up it. Just like in an elevator, it stops and a kind of a door slides open and we step out into bright light. And I don't usually do this, but I will this time. So just follow my words in your mind. Say, I call upon my highest guide of light and love. I call upon my highest guide of light and love to come and meet me. Okay, so it's an instruction, it's an intention. And what I'd love you to do is really be comfortable with even pretending if you wish to, or switch on your imagination, because the spirit world instantaneously starts instructing your imagination. So if you switch it on to start with, it's like a two-way video screen, they'll start running that video screen. So imagine that there's a being in front of you, and this being is full of light. And it's a being of love. And imagine that the two of you now, there's another column of light. Two of you get into this column of light, into the elevator, and travel up a little bit further together. This being is a partner, is a friend, is a buddy. And again, a door opens and you both step out into very, very intense light. And this being's just with you there, just standing in front of you. There are times in other moments where I'm instructing people to meet their spirit guides where I get them to ask questions of where this being's from, what their name is, like interviewing this being, finding out a lot more about them, what their speciality is, what they're going to teach you. There's lots of questions that you can ask a spirit being in a moment like this. But what I'll do right now is just let you just feel this being in front of you. And let this being reach out their hand and reach into your aura, into your energy being that you are, and find a fear that's sitting in you. It's like a little bit of substance, of gray substance somewhere in you, and literally just pull it out. So I'm showing you that these beings can actually just simply reach in and pull out fear, pull out sadness, grief, rage, any of these resonances. That's what they're very good at. All right, so now let this being reach into your auric field again and find somewhere else. Just let them, and switch on your imagination and follow and put your attention on what they're doing. Just pretend, suspend your logic, let it go for a while. And just watch, pretend you know. Just have fun. Todd, I'm going to ask you just very quickly, stay there with your being, but what are you noticing that they're pulling out of you?
Actually, it's like a orange. You would think it'd be like dark stuff, but it's orange orbs. I don't know what that is. Sacral.
It's cool. Whatever's going on is fine. Okay, everybody, we're going to do a quick little process. Imagine that your spirit guide's got a stick and there's sand at your feet. They're going to just draw several letters, and this is going to be the name that they're going to give you of what this being is called. It's really just a phone number. It doesn't really need to make sense. So let them draw the first letter. Just notice what that is. and then the second letter, and then the third letter. And you can just ask point blank of your spirit guide, what is your name? And clarify it with them writing their letters.
Mm.
What did you get, Todd?
I got I don't know, I'm not sure which way to pronounce it, but it's either Elisum or Elisum.
Okay, cool.
E-L-S-U-M, yeah.
So when you get a name, and just grab hold of it, everyone, don't let it go. Because this really is your, the front doorbell. It's your front doorbell. It's like when you use this word, when you use this name, their energy will come to you. The spirit guide will come to you. So it's quite important just to grab it, get hold of it. If you're not sure of it, just say to the spirit guide, I'm not sure what it is. It looks like this. Is that okay? Can I just use it this way? And they'll correct you or give you a prompt or a feeling. By the way to receive the data flow back from your spirit guide is throw a question at them, because that triggers the flow back. And you can repeat questions, repeat them, like refreshing the question. And then, just like in a conversation, you just go quiet and feel knowings coming back to you. Sometimes it's below logic and it'll flow back to you really quickly as a feeling and a knowing. So it's faster than thought. And then you unpack it for yourself. And I do recommend practicing by asking your spirit guide a question and writing those answers down. And that bypasses your logic that way. So it's a little practice to go from here when we finish today. Ask your guide questions and write the answers down. And that starts a confidence building process. So I've given you a little bit of some processes here. So give your spirit guide a hug, everyone. Forehead to forehead, just a beautiful moment of going, OMG, thank you so much for bringing your energy to me today. We're going to play together from now on. I'm being shown your spirit guide is putting their hand on your heart chakra. Beautiful relationship opening up today. Big hug. And look, when we finish from now, like, you can just go back there and keep playing with the spirit guide. All right, taking a deep breath, everyone. Coming back, opening your eyes when you're ready. Woohoo! We all feel a bit shifted, I think.
Mm-hmm. So now, where can people find you? Well, tell us about, or we go back over the things that you do in terms of, I guess, one-to-one work, session work, energy work, and then where can people find you? And
all right.
Any links you have, that type of thing.
All right. Thank you, Todd. So appreciate it. So everyone, I don't do one-on-one work anymore, but I'm just very available. My website is soulmentoring.com. soulmentoring.com. And I do a monthly live 1.5 hour healing with my spirit teams, training and healing. And it's super, super, super powerful. So if you go to soulmentoring.com and you go to products or courses, in the menu, you'll start seeing all of those are available to you. If anybody wants to jump in on a course today, the course is soulmentoring.com/purpose offer. So it's a huge course, and should be about $500 and it's down to 97. It's like a package of about 2 or 3 different whole big modules just shoved together as a package. So if anybody wants to jump in on that, soulmentoring.com/purpose offer.
Purpose offer.
Yeah.
And then you have a monthly hour and a half?
Hour and a half. Yeah. It's really, like, seriously mind-blowing. It's very, very powerful. Like, oh my God, the world moves every time we do this.
Do you do it through the Zoom conferencing?
Yeah, Zoom.
Okay. Yeah, those are powerful. And you do that on the same day of every month?
No, it's around about the teens of the month, 17, 18, 20th, something like that. It's usually around about there.
Are you still doing actively doing telesummits?
Yeah, and I'm on tele summits. Most months I've got 2 or 3 tele summits every month.
Okay, and they can find that, if we can find that information at your website. Everything we can find at your website. That's
right. And also I'd like to say to everybody, when you get to my website, jump in on something, because then you'll be on my mailing list. So there's free, you can get a free video, for example, about how to hear your spirit guide more clearly. So if you jump in and click the button and say, yep, I want that little video, then you're on my mailing list. All right. And you can always just email support@soulmentoring.com.
Somebody put up Edom Neckpiece says, now I know why her name is Power.
Yeah.
That yeah, a lot of people enjoyed that.
Oh, good.
And what do you, I mean, do you have anything coming up that's new? I mean, do you have any plans for 2019 or any type of new developments with what you're doing?
Oh man, Todd. My spirit teams are a bit sneaky. They've always got something new around the corner.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember what it was. There was something. I mean, these tele summits and I'm incredibly busy. I'm writing books.
I was going to ask you.
I'm actually writing a book called How to Hear Your Spirit Guides More Clearly, because I know a lot about that. I know like the technical side of what to do to hear them more clearly. Yeah. So I'm in the middle of writing a book about that.
now, is that your first book?
I'm halfway through a huge training manual book on how to recognize shadow too, and what it really is. Yeah. That's a really potent book, but I don't want to bring that out first. So I was trained as a journalist, so I'm a writer sort of by trade, and yeah, I've got a lot of projects on. So I'm just trying to.
So we had Shakina Rose on. She's been on quite a few times with us, our beloved sister. She was on last week, and she said we've entered a time when we've had all these things we're working on, and now they're all being pulled together. And I'm starting to see evidence of that, a lot like what you're talking about. Would you say?
I totally agree, actually.
What would you say that shadow work is the most important thing that we can do every day, or do we get to a point where there's something else that's a priority?
It's, pumping your light's always a priority, the yoga and the meditation, right, everybody, or going for big long walks, just pumping your light, bringing your light in. But look, as an auric practitioner for decades, and there's a lot of light workers who don't realize that shadow is real and that it's the thing. There is a force, everyone, that's pushing against us, and it's underpinning the dynamic of free will. And if you don't know it, if you don't understand it, if you don't understand that it touches you regularly throughout the day, and in fact is embedded quite a lot inside of us already from childhood, from past incarnations. If you don't understand that shadow is just a part of this physical reality in this incarnation, I think that's a huge handicap. Yeah. I think you're not seeing half of what's going on. So you can go for the light and the love, which is really important, but power and honesty and growth comes from acknowledging what shadow really is, that it's part of us, and learning about it. It's like getting ninja about it, getting good at it, understanding how to instantly just work with it.
Samurai.
Yes, samurai, right. And just getting really good at it. So everybody use that sun technique a lot. Use it several times throughout the day. If you've been somewhere where you feel you just got dumped with a lot of, I don't know, different people's energy or something, and you're walking out, sit in your car, just do the little sun technique, take a look, do the x-ray, see what's in there, and ask your spirit guides to transmute it. Honestly, your brain will just be thinking differently from that moment onwards. And honestly, your life changes. 1 minute that way, and the next minute you're going that way. Your life changes as soon as you do it.
Yeah, we were talking about that today. My wife says the first step to transformation is awareness. And I was telling her, we were talking about something today, or something going on, and one of our friends or something who was kind of going through an epiphany. And it's like once that bomb goes off in your essence, even if you try to deny it, it's not going to let you go. You know, so this type of modality that you're talking about does that. You know, it brings it to the surface. Would we be better off referring to ourselves, and not that labels mean anything, but as shadow workers as opposed to light workers?
Oh my goodness, Todd, I love it. I just love it. I love what you're saying. Look, I don't often talk about this, but I'm pretty warrior. I am pretty ninja about it, and I'm sort of onto it all the time.
I can tell.
And I think probably your wife is too. You know, it's like anybody who's venturing a long way down that track of light starts to notice that there's an opposing force.
Yeah.
And then you have to start learning about it, and you have to start learning how to, it's like a hungry lion. You've just got to learn how to hold it separate from you.
Yeah.
But the truth is that it's there, you know.
Yeah. And what a gift it is, you know. I mean, I think we haven't talked, maybe we can talk a little bit about the whole masculine energy, feminine energy thing, but I know as a evolving masculine, my first thing in getting hit with that blunt, feminine, nurturing, take no bullshit energy that loves you is denial. You've got this going on. No, I don't. No, I don't. And then it becomes, okay, I do. and then it becomes, I'm still not as, you know, vigilant about, like you and her, about there's a shadow, let's go get it. You know, because you guys do recognize it, but I'm now see the value of it and understand really in my own, you know, my own expressions when I came off the street 7 years ago or 5 years ago, 6 years ago. The stuff I wrote was from the shadow. It was like, I'm coming out of the shadow. I'm not healed, but I see the light. And I think that most of us, that's what's happened. Most of the people that come on this show, if I ask them, how did this happen for you? They said, I went through a series of traumas or a major car accident or a major illness, and then boom, you know, it went from there.
Yeah. You know, it takes a moment, a serious moment of fearlessness over fear, right? Where you rise up like the phoenix and you go, I am what I am. Yeah. I am this light being. I'm in here for a very short time in this incarnation. And, you know, it's time for me to find my wings. It's time for me to stand up. It's time for me to heal. It's time for me to recognize myself and just get on with it. But the male thing, listen, I just want to say the male thing, I love the male thing. I've had 5 brothers. I've got a really amazing guy for a husband who's just such a warrior. And just like your wife, I can tell too, you know, us women, we hold you guys like with so much love and so much honoring, and your strength as guys. I love it. I'm a strong person too, but so's my husband. He's like, and I just love it. It's like, I love the strength of the male, the steadiness of the male. It's like we keep each other balanced, and there's such an honoring of each other, you know, of the feminine and the male. We don't talk about it much. It's just there. It's just fantastic. I love it. So I see that in you. I can hear that you've got that with your beautiful wife too. Anyway, just two people who honor each other, however you are.
Yeah, yeah. I think that element of the Trinity energy holy triad, the union, and then the third energy that's produced. People have talked about that being, I know she introduced me to it years ago. We're going out of duality into the Trinity. that seems to be one of, I'm sure there's more than one, but one of the important templates that's taking hold energetically on the earth.
Yeah, I think what I'm hearing you say is that there is the male and the female, and it's so colorful, and it ignites so much joy together. And then there's just the beingness of us as light beings, and the love, the beyond this physical lifetime love, and the role that we plays, and the job that we've come here to do. Yeah. I'm hearing you, Todd. We're in the rising. We're rising. Yeah. It's like this light is rising. We're taking on our true being is coming out, emerging, and it's time. It's time for every single one of you guys that is watching this. It's time for you to be.
It is. That's right.
Your high being of light that you are.
Yeah, and I just have this thing I've been trying to push. Is I've been trying to do what my role is within Soulogy, my individual role, and one of them is how do we pull in more of the masculine? And I know it's not always affiliated with the physical gender incarnation, but I was saying on the last show, and I've seen it. Soulogy was 75-25 7 years ago, and it's 63-37 now. But I was looking at the YouTube videos, and 95%, and we're talking like, a lot of hours a month. I think it's 8,000-9,000 hours a month. 95% are women, 5% are men. And I think to myself, because the feminine has been leading us. We know that. And how can we do that? I have a feeling it's going to be like a dam breaking. When the masculine finally just comes in, it's going to be like the power center. And maybe it's already occurred energetically. I don't know. Yeah. But I think, I'd love to collaborate with you again, because there's so many things we could get into. I'd love to hear more about how your partnership, your union, traversed the ascension. Because obviously, that's one thing about a couple. No matter what it looks like, on the outside, or what you think you understand, or what you don't know, if one's impressive, the other's going to have to be too. You know what I mean? Especially if it's the woman, because this new feminine energy, or the what was suppressed that's coming back up and leading us, is a powerful creation energy. The way I look at it, it's like, I serve 2 bags full. What do we need to do? You know what I mean?
Oh my God, Todd. See, gosh, I jumped into this thing like really early in my life, and you couldn't see me for dust. It was like at 18, I was going, I need to meditate. I need to find God's source. I'm onto this path early, and it's just me, but I've just had this attitude of nothing's going to stop me.
Yeah.
And so with the male and the female thing, and where women are disregarded generally in so many avenues in society, and I'm not even going to talk about the developing world, but even the first world as well, I kind of, with the role that I had to play, this is me personally, I couldn't even stop to contemplate that. It's like I couldn't even stop to think about that, because I had a job to do. I had to bring this light through from very high up. And so I haven't stopped long enough. There's many issues, the issues of male and female, and the guys, I totally hear you, 20% anyway. Just anyway, it's a 20%, 80% thing with the guys and the women in spirituality. And yet there's so many amazing, guys that are just in spiritual leadership as well. My God, there's just like that many of them as well, right? But but in my personal experience, I've just been tunnel visioned, not looking left and right, not getting into any
You know your role.
of the billions of issues. You know?
Yeah.
I'm
Well,
like,
I mean, to me,
it's like,
it's,
just go. I've just have to just work because I'm.
no, I can relate. I can relate to that.
Really hard, you know.
Believe me, I can relate to that. I can totally relate to that, because if there's one thing that I always had to do was do my mission, you know,
Yeah.
regardless of what my life looked like at whatever stage. But it was always, I totally get that. I just, to me, it's a curiosity, and maybe it's just going to take, because maybe it's just the linear timeline, the span between the energetic reality or level up, and then it shows up on the linear. You know, you're seeing this. What is it? I don't know what the title is, but the leader of New Zealand is a really progressive woman, and there's a few others that have popped up around the world. So maybe it's just a matter of that'll pull the men over, or that energy over more and more force, because that is the side of the brain that needs the proof. You know, I mean, they don't call it men's intuition; they call it women's intuition for a reason. So maybe that's what it's going to take: some hard evidence that's not so patriarchal and not so masculine, for them to really, you know, for the visual and for the spiritual, pull them over. I don't know. It's just, it's interesting.
There's also, just really quickly, neurologically, where women are wired for intuition, because we, in caveman days, we had to read our babies, like, so, you know, for the survival of the human race, right? So right from the get-go, our whole neurological wiring was for intuition, for picking up cues, non-physical cues. And so, you know, and look, and I'm going to say a couple of other things, is that in Aboriginal societies here in Australia, there's a few tribes with their psychic initiations. The guys have to go through self-harming initiations where they create scarring on their bodies. It's an initiation that punches them out of the physical and into the psychic spiritual space, because the pain is so intense that they actually need that kick to go up and hang out in the astral planes and with their ancestors, and become sort of, almost go through a shamanistic experience through that. But in those tribes, the women don't have to do those initiations because they're born psychic. So I'm just saying that right there is a snapshot of something.
It's funny. It's funny you say that, because I actually had an experience with my wife probably a week and a half ago, and it was we do this often, and we connect together. Anyway, it turned into this thing where I can identify with what you just said. It was like I had to get past this pain thing, and it really actually wasn't that hard to get into another state. And it was teaching me all this stuff that I can't, and I'm a talker and I'm a writer, but I can't even explain it. But it was definitely a level up, and it had to do with something, the spirit of what you're talking about, like getting past. If this is all a movie, a hologram, an illusion, this pain is part of that. It's kind of what I was being taught, and the other side of it was a huge gift. It was incredible. Yeah, so that's interesting. You've got a wealth of information and wealth of experience. I'd love to collaborate with you again.
Yeah, let's do it again.
I'd love to find out more about your many things, but because I love the stories. I mean, not this. I know this. We use the word stories, and stories don't matter, but there's a lot of gold, I'm sure, in your partnership, your evolution. You know, because I can't imagine somebody stepping into your space and not holding their own. You know, so that's got to be a really interesting story. But thank you so much for joining us.
Todd, you're an absolute darling, and I just want to say your wife's a lucky woman too. You know, finding you and you guys being together, it's just heaven, isn't it? Like when two souls get together and look after each other and support each other.
She's from South Australia, by the way. She's from Adelaide. Morgan Lee, yeah. And when she met me, I was on the outside, a hobo living out of a suitcase with no money, no car, no nothing. and she put her balls to the wall and came over to see me. And then 4 trips later, we're living in Kauai. You know,
So beautiful.
in the present, and yeah, you know, it's I have to give. I have to give credit to the feminine. It's been a big part of my journey, and she's been a big part of it. You remind me a lot of her.
Oh.
So, and I'll tell you something else too that's interesting. We had a guy on. What was his name? Elijah, Elijah, out of Singapore. Out of Singapore, he's pretty well known. He was on about 3 or 4 days ago, and I asked him because he traveled a lot in his 3D career, and then he woke up and he became a holistic healer and teacher, and still travels a lot. I said, do you see in all parts of the world? Do you see everybody waking up in the different metropolitan areas? And he said, some more than others, but Australia the most.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and my wife and I, she said that before too. And I look at the demographics of Soulogy, which is there's a lot of data there now after all these years, and Australia is not just as a country, but pockets like obviously Sydney, Queensland, Adelaide. You know, there's a pretty strong where she's from, and some of the other Perth. I mean, it's like 5 or 6 of the top metro areas out of the top 20 or 15 even are out of Australia. So something to be said for that. Yeah,
Wow.
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Is there anything you'd like to leave us with or anything like that?
Let me just think. Yeah, my teams are just wanting to say, everyone, you are light, and this is very short. This lifetime is very short. So get with it.
Yeah,
Get with it.
That's what I always say. We're the ones down here doing the work. No disrespect to the teams up there. I will only be Todd once. You'll only be Alicia once. The human is the hero. Game on. Let's roll with it, right?
Let's do it. Yeah.
You take care.
Todd, it's been a huge pleasure too. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. You guys get out to soulmentoring.com, and then there's a soul mentoring /purpose offer that she'd mentioned, and just check out her site. This is the year of collaboration, co-creation, expansion, sovereignty. So let's support our sisters. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.